Good evening, guys, and sorry I am a bit windswept or in a bad way tonight. I'm just kind of like had a busy day, came back, and that was it. Anyway, guys, my last show for tonight, and what a treat I've got in store. Now, when I was a little boy, do you know remember the Beano magazines, and you used to get the Beano and the Dandy and whatever, all the comics and everything. I used to save up comics, and then I've grown out of them. Then I went back to them. The next minute, I thought to myself, I'll just leave them alone. But now I was told that if I kept them all, I would have got around about £15,000 for all of them. So unfortunately, I lost out on that. But Jake Estrada, you're tell everybody about yourself.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's a great honor to be here, Steve. Thank you again. So I make comic books. I publish comic books. I've published comic books for roughly over 20 years now. The publisher of Space Coast Comics out here in sunny Florida. You see the sun behind me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm out here in Florida getting some rays under a palm tree and drawing comic books like I've always wanted since I was a child, little kid. And I've written comics, I've published other comic books, and I work with Nino Mezzarina and countless other popular artists. And I also produce films too.
Yeah, because you do films, you do. I've seen some of your trailers. I've been doing a lot of research on you. What I usually do with people, but the trouble is, why comics?
Well, for me, it started at a young age. I was like, I want to say 6, 7 years old. My dad, we lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, out here in the U.S. And my dad was a roofer, and he went to the local convenience store, 7-Eleven, and he did their roof for them, and they gave him a stack of comics. Inside those comic books were like The Punisher, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, Wolverine, all these comic books, Superman, Batman, and I fell in love. And I remember telling my dad and my mom, I was like, I'm going to be a comic book artist one day. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, good luck to you. That's how they were, my parents.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with the medium, and I just kept on pursuing that even through school. I kept on going. I went to college. I took up art classes. I did side jobs, printing, learning everything about, the process. I could one day make my own comics. I just saw that as a medium that I could express myself to the world, and people could find my stories, and I could tell things, historical stories, because with comics you could do almost anything you want to do with them, any kind of story, believe it or not. And that's what I loved about the medium. And also I liked that medium a lot because I also looked at it as like almost like a poor man's version of being a film director.
And the trouble is, because what you did was you were kind of like you're doing all these comics. You was going to Comic Con, you was going around different places and everything.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you thought to yourself, hang on for a sec, I want to be a film director.
So how I got into film directing is kind of a funny story. It's not really a funny story. It's kind of a sad story too. But I took my family out. We went to a Halloween horror type of like haunted house thing for Halloween. My kids were young. My oldest, who now is like 21 years old at the time, was like 13, 14 years old. My daughter was younger, and then my youngest wasn't even born yet. So we went to this haunted trail. We went out there. The guy who was directing the thing looked at me, and we talked briefly, and then that was it. About a year or two later, he reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be in my movie? I need you because you're really tall." And in real life, everybody, I'm 6'9". I stand a whopping 6'9". I'm really tall. I could be a basketball player, a front guard for basketball. And so he wanted me in his role, so I went about playing the role of the character Bo Sawyer for the movie Loons. So I was in that, and I'm also in the sequel. So he got me doing that, and it made my wheels move a little bit. But then my wife and I at the time, we lost our fourth child, little baby Cole. He was only 17 days old. He passed away, and it made me really depressed because I had a lot of things in motion with Nino. We were working on the Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. We had a big plan to unroll his comic series as a solo comic.
Yeah, yeah. Because what was going on, you were being busy, you were doing things, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden, because of the death and everything, you got into a point where you were really depressed and everything.
Yes.
And how did you feel? How did you feel when everything was going around you okay, but all of a sudden this
Yeah.
depression came on you and the death?
It hurt. It hurt a lot, Steve. It really did. It was terrible. It was a terrible ordeal. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. To lose a child, especially a baby. It's a miracle. I was able to pull through it. I still think about it every time I see a little kid. I think, oh man, Cole would be that age now, or I go someplace. So sometimes it still hits me. But if it wasn't for my other friend, Nino was there for me. He was always giving me words of encouragement. And there was my other friend too, Chuck Fresh, who's done Vegas, who's done, he's the voice of Hair Nation on XM Radio. He does a lot of stuff. He came to me. He's like, no, Jake, you need to do something creative. That's who you are. This will be your therapy. So he's like, what kind of comic story do you have that we can adapt into a movie? And I went and I started thinking, I was like, I probably should play my character Bocas, which originally Bocas was inspired by my father, who shared a resemblance to my dad at the time. And, I started working a script, but meanwhile, still holding that feeling, but still trying to be strong because, as a man of the house, you're trying to, be strong for your family.
For everybody, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with that. And it's like a lot of these factors, but you're also, working it out, trying to work it out. And there's really no way of working it out. It's just, time. That's all I can say.
You have to get on with it. You have to get on with it quick because you wanted to you wanted to be strong for the family because, it seemed like when you were going through all that, you felt like really, really down. And at some point, did you at some point feel like that you wanted to give up or something? Or am I?
I'm gonna tell you. The worst times that I thought that I was gonna die. I just felt like I was dying. And I didn't want to do it no more. But again, I had my oldest son, I had my daughter, and I had my youngest living son, little Jacob, and I had to be strong for them, and I had to be strong for my wife, and I had to pull through it. And I would talk to myself. I do that a lot. If you were sitting next to me, I'd be like, okay, what I got to do? And people are like, well, what? I'm like, don't worry. I'm just working things through. And a lot of it's through my art. A lot of it's through writing film scripts. A lot of it's just, processing everyday thing. And I have a belief system. I take it every 5 minutes. And along with this 5 minutes, I take it for the rest of the day that way. If I can get through 5 minutes, I can get through the next 5 minutes. And I just keep on telling myself that.
Can I ask, can I go back to the time when the death and everything that happened? Do you get busy now? Do you find that getting busy puts it back into puts it back in the back of your mind?
So, the thing is, you are right though. You're busy, so you're not thinking about that. But then when you're not busy, and there's always going to be a period where you're not completely busy. There's always going to be a time when you sit down and you're not doing that no longer, and it comes back, and it comes back for me, it comes back. And me, I have a hard time shutting my mind off. I could lay down in bed and everything that I held off for the day will come back flooding to me, and I won't sleep. And I'll just think about stuff. And so it stays there with me. And, and that's why I talk about it so much to people, because I want people to understand that, you see me smiling, you see me sometimes larger than life. I might be screaming in the store with excitement, but, we all have our stories to tell, and it's a big thing. We all have our own cross to bear in this life that we live. And, sadness and depression is a real thing too. It's not something that, some people are like, be strong. You're like, no. We all have our own process some people have a harder time getting out of that, out of the funk and going over the hump. And, and I don't tell them, be strong. And I'm like, no, let's talk about it, because it's important to talk about it, because it does matter.
Yeah. Because the trouble is with men and women. See, women can yak for a long time. They can talk for a long time.
Yes.
Men want to go around and say, oh, yeah, I want to be strong and tough. There's not a problem with me.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, for a man to cry, people will look at us and think, oh, we're just kind of like, a bit of puffers, or, we are girl blouses, whatever. But at the end of the day, I say to people, right, we do a lot of mental illness on here, and I just say to people, well, if you're a man, if you want to cry, you cry, because at the end of the day, we're only human. We're not perfect. We all got a breaking point in life.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, Steve. But my daughter has told me, I've never seen you cry, and I told her, hey, I cry, and I cry a lot. But you may not see the tears sometimes, because by the time you come around and look at me, I'm already at work doing something. But trust me. And her own mother said, yeah, your dad does cry. But like you said, people see men when they cry, it's either they're wimps or they're sissies or something like that. But like I said, I'm 6'9", so a lot of people don't dare tell me I'm a sissy if I'm crying.
Yeah. Anyway, I was about to get onto your side, because you are 6'9", and actually, do you find when you're 6'9", do you think that you're left out of the crowd?
I'm always been kind of an odd guy. I always say, I've always followed to the beat of my own drum, anything I did. So I've always been kind of left out. I always felt, but I've always been okay with that. Kind of like, I feel like I've always been like a lone wolf anyway. So I'm always been, doing my own thing. So a lot of times, I feel like I get a lot more attention though, because of my height though. I go somewhere and someone go, well, like, hey, I know you must get this a lot, but can you tell me how tall you are? Oh yeah, I'm 6'9", everybody. And they go, wow, did you play basketball? Did you play football? The age old questions. And then some people might even get insulted when I say, no, I'm not playing basketball. I'm an artist. And then they look at me and they go like, what a waste of height. And I'm like, wow. Can I ask you a question? One guy asked once, and he's like, yeah, what is it? Have you ever played midget football? Oh, he got really upset when I told him that.
Yeah, the trouble is, so I want to show you a video that I was watching.
Okay.
And this is you, and let's go and watch it. There you go.
Yes. I have big hands. I also got big legs. You know what else I have that's really big? Let me show you. Here it comes. I'm going to pull it out. I have big shoes, size 18 right here. Oh, man, and aren't they big?
Now, I thought that was funny. Why did you do that video? Was it to kind of like... Why did you do that video, especially that there? Was it to take a mic, or what was it about?
Well, it was me. I like having a little comedy. Me and my friends, we talk about it, and I was like, I'm going to make a video about highlighting all the terrible things that people think about, and show our woes of getting into cars, hitting our head, and then I ended up posting that in quite a few tall sites on Facebook and a few other social media platforms, and all the tall guys were laughing about it. Yeah, I got the same problem too, and then we got talking about our shoe size, and people are like, I can't find shoes, and I'm like, yeah, I just go to Amazon and look for size 18 shoes all the
time. Yeah, because what size shoe are you? 18, isn't it?
Yes, 18.
18 size shoe. Gosh, Is the rest of your family big?
My father was 6'1". My mom, who's still alive, she's 5'10". But they told me that my great grandfather on my father's side was 7 foot tall. So that's where I apparently must have gotten my height from, that side. Apparently.
Oh, you should be in the Olympics playing basketball for it. Um, and anyway, I want definitely not deal with you if you're 6 foot. Gosh, that would be really, really bad. But what? Let's get onto your comics. Because you've done some really good comics, and what's the best comic you've done?
I always say that my best comic is my latest comic, and I worked with a bunch of talented people, and we produced one of the best comic books on the market right now. It's called SCCX #1. It has the beautiful artwork of Dino Mazzarina in it. He's also on the back cover here, as you see.
All right.
Yeah, and then we also have his short story in it, The Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. That's Nino's art right there. We got that. We got the book there, his beautiful artwork there. I colored it for him. I also have a short story in its book too called Demon in a Spacesuit. It's about a crazy astronaut from an alternate reality. That was our book there that I did for the short story. Has all the artwork there, everybody. Yeah, so it was that book right there, that we recently released, and Nino's going to be coming out with another short story for The Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. I love collaboration. I love working with other creators and getting the stories out. And I mean, the medium of comics is something that I've loved since I was a little kid. Like I said, because of my father's, and I discovered Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, all those legends. And then, and then I created my own heroes, such as Borgas, which I ultimately ended up making the movie out of, the comic right there as a Blu-ray.
Brilliant. That was really good, really good. And because I was thinking, hang on a sec, I've heard of this guy. Then, because I watched the film, and I was thinking, what was the reason? What was the reason behind the film?
So Borgas, like I said, was originally the very first comic book I did of Borgas. Me and my father sat down. I loved my father. My father was a strong guy. He provided for the family. He was also a wise guy, and I'm not talking about a wise guy like he'll beat you up. He could do that too, but he was wise in his knowledge. He would, sit there and tell me so many things. I would get angry as a young kid, and he'd be like, "No, you can't get angry. You got to be smart about things." And he would talk to me about a lot of stuff. And he'll talk to, from politics to religion, science, any kind of conversation I had with him, we will have it, and he would read every day. He would get a newspaper and he would talk. And like I said, he was a roofer. And most people just think a roofer guy just climb up there, fix a roof, and they're grunts. But no, my father was for what kind of job he did, he was brilliant. And so I got producing the comic, and one of the first comics I did with him was this underground comic, Borgas, right here. That was the original first issue I did with my dad. He was the model on the cover. We did the stories, we drew it. It was based in Philadelphia, New Jersey area. I did it black and white because I did it out of a little print shop, and I was able to put that together, and I was able to sell that, and we sold the majority of those issues immediately in our local area, and I kept on spreading that way by grassroots. And my dad would tell me stories. He'd be like, "All right, this is going to happen." Because my dad, like I said, again, we lived in the city of Philadelphia, which has a lot of crime here. And he would tell me what he saw on the roof. "Oh yeah, I just saw a guy get shot," or this or that. I'm like, "Really?" So he used to tell me stuff like that, and we would talk about it night and day. And he was more or less my muse in the beginning of Borgas' creation. And when he passed away, I stopped doing Borgas comics for a long time because, I miss my dad so much. And to this day, and it's kind of the irony of it is that I ended up playing Borgas in the movie, but I decided, well, you know what? People always say I was a bigger, more puffier version of my dad. So here goes nothing.
What's that?
People always said I was a bigger version of my dad.
Yeah. Can I get to I was kind of like looking at just now before it came on, Zoomed, based on a true story on TikTok.
Yes.
What's that? Tell us about that.
All right. Zoom is my latest film that I worked on during quarantine and during this whole COVID thing. Where we've been having to work from home or having to not go outside. And I was in the middle of making another movie called The Human Virus, which is about zombies. And I had a whole big shoot ready for that. We had the supermarket ready, and then we were told we couldn't film because of COVID. So that shut down that whole production. So then I got thinking, I'm like, man, there has to be a way to make a movie. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make an online movie, and we're going to make a movie based on Zoom. Everyone's doing Zoom meetings and everything like that. What if there's a killer killing everybody while they're on Zoom? I started thinking about that. And then I did some research, and I found out that there actually was a murder over Zoom, where somebody was talking to somebody like you and I, and right behind them, they saw this person kill their wife, and I was like, wow, and that's what, the idea bloomed there even stronger. And I developed the movie, and we ended up, making that movie about, I got Nino involved. I got a bunch of other people involved where, we're talking and people are they're slowly getting killed. And it's a horror film, a thriller, it's very scary things, with the modern technology that we have. And at the same time, it's a slasher film.
Gosh, how long did it take you to do then?
So making that movie's taken me roughly about a year. It would have been faster, but then I had a minor computer issue where I had all the footage recorded and my computer crashed. And normally I preach to people, back up, back up, back up, but like a dummy, I didn't back that film up. I had everything else backed up except for that. So then I ended up having to send the computer off to a friend of mine who was able to later retrieve all the footage that I did for that. So then once that happened, it was about a 6-month span from there. And then I went back into filming the remainder of the film. And I've been done filming for that movie about 4 months now. And I was able to put it together. And now we're going to have a premiere at a local cinema over here in Melbourne, Florida on October 15th. That's coming. That's there. And we're going to do that. And then I'm going to have the movie submitted to film festivals. Boca is going to be screened at a film festival in October 1st. So I'm getting a bunch of films slowly seen across different platforms. So it's been a good journey with that. But I'm looking forward to Zoom because it's a good concept. And then I'm also doing another movie, which is why I'm growing my beard out again, because I have a role call for another character and an upcoming movie with Chuck Fresh called America Divided, which is a horror film as well. It has to do with zombies and it has some political things in there, or political climate here in the U.S. And we're doing that. But I'm playing a character called Howard, and I'm going to eventually dye my beard grayer.
And explain about Space Coast Comic Con.
Our Space Coast Comic Con is a convention that was originally birthed by David Grace, my friend David Grace. I met him when I was doing Space Coast Comics, the comic book. And I got talking with him, and we became fast friends. And the next thing you know, I partnered with him to promote the show. And before you know it, we've done that show roughly 6-7 years now. It's one of the longest running shows in the county that I live in here in Brevard. It's a great show. We get people that cosplay. We get people that dress up as their favorite characters from, Spider-Man, Batman. They do anime characters. You think it, they do it. We've met all kinds of actors from Star Trek that's done there. We have Buck Rogers, actor, that was at our show. We've done marvelous things with that show, and it's a good show. It's a family show. Families come out in our county here. They come out to it. They love it. It's good to see the community of nerdom, I call it, come together, and we have so much fun doing that show every year.
When are you? Have you ever thought of kind of like doing a true story about your life?
I've touched on that a little bit about at least publishing either a graphic novel about my life a little bit, and I've worked on a few of it, and then I've stopped because it just my mind. If you were to come on my computer right now, you would probably like scream because I have like 20 tabs open, and I have 4 or 5 Photoshop tabs open, and I have a drawing board on my table. So I could be talking to you here for the 1 hour, and I'm drawing on here, and then I get sidetracked over here. It's a little bit of my ADHD kicking in. I get so many things going on in my mind, and I'm talking a mile a second, and people are like, "Whoa, slow down!" And I'm like, I can't, because this is the way I work and process everything. I break it down, and I'm doing, and it could drive, it drives my kids crazy. It drives their mother crazy. It drives my mother crazy.
And what was it like when you were working under Presence?
So the Under Presence is that our paranormal show. I'll tell you what, the stuff that we've uncovered is crazy on Under Presence. We would be sitting there and we'll be talking to people about spirits and everything like that, and you would get people totally how can I say, it's like I played a character in there called Victor Pruner originally, and it's funny. People were like, "Hey, so what is this guy's name? Isn't that Victor?" And you can't hear it until you go and you put on your headphones like this, and you listen back to the audio, and you declutter it, and you end up hearing the name saying, "That's Jake." You're like, "Whoa, did it just say that?" And then we did one episode about the haunting the doll. This lady was claiming that the doll pushed her husband out of the bed, gave her cancer, did all kind of stuff. And then, and it was crazy, the things that episode, we uncovered. So it's a great time. And, the paranormal, people could say, I don't believe in this and that. There's definitely something going on there. It could be an alternate reality. It could be it could be the devil in himself, for all I know, but there's something going on there.
Well, before I came on to you, we had a guest on.
Uh-huh.
A guest on. He was doing paranormal, and I had him on for about an hour because I'm a bit of a skeptic, say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I think he touched me a little bit because something was happening that you cannot kind of like comprehend. So I think he touched me a little bit, but that because I kind of like I'm a Christian and I believe in God. I don't tell people, I don't go around preaching.
Yeah.
But I don't, so we all have beliefs, but I think the trouble is with me with the paranormal. I like to either stay away from it or don't touch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of people are that way, and I totally respect it. My mom was flipping out. She said, "Why are you on that show? You're gonna get killed." I'm like, "No, Mom. No. If you believe in God, like I believe in God," and I told her, "God has my back." So yes, those things could be evil, but it's not going to get me. You know why? She's like, "Why? I'm 6'9", and I'll kick the ghost's ass." I said,
yeah, you would. And also, how did you meet Nino then? How did you come to meet Nino?
All right, so like I showed you, I did that book as comic book, and then online started to become a big presence. People were talking, "Oh, you need to go online with your artwork." And this is before Facebook, before MySpace, before any of those social media platforms. All there was chats and all everything. "Hi, Nino. I see hi Jake there. So what's up, Nino?" So yeah. So hey, little Nino. And then we started doing the internet. So I got on internet, and then we ended up going on to I ended up going on to Michael Netzer message board, and I just let everybody know. I gave everybody a bio of myself. I told them I was a Puerto Rican artist doing a Puerto Rican comic book, and I was doing this kind of comic book. And Nino left me a message. Oh, that's cool. I like your art style. Your art style reminds me of my friends from Kiss Me Comics or something like that. He told me at the time. And I was like, really? I didn't know what their comic book was. But then he told me about his character, and he sent me some of his books. I sent him some of my books. And then, we kept on talking. Then Nino got into some kind of big dispute on Michael Netzer board. And, Nino went down their throat for being a bunch of punks. And I backed them up. I was like, yeah, you're a bunch of punks guys too. And we attacked them together. And, we went out there and we attacked the guy. And Nino left there, and he then emailed me and told me, hey, let's keep talking over Yahoo. So we kept on talking over Yahoo. And then there was a convention up in New York. And they were giving away tables, and they gave us a free table. And Nino was going to be there from Chicago to from Chicago to New York. And I went from New Jersey at the time. I was living in South Jersey, and I drove up to New York. And there's where I met Nino and his buddy Ralph. And we went and we were there doing the show. And at one point, his buddy Ralph is like, he brings food back for Nino, and I turn around to Ralph and go like, yo, they have food? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, he was like giving me the direction and everything where to go. And I'm like, dude, I need you to do it. I need hamburgers, And and I gave him money, and Ralph, like a good guy, went and actually got food for me and my wife. And it's funny because he brought me food, and other people were like, hey, there's food. And he was like, I ain't giving you nothing, but he brought it from me. So I always appreciate that about Ralph. I was like, okay, this is a cool guy. And we did that, and then we did the show. And my wife, Beth, she walks on crutches. She has cerebral palsy. And it was this artist, I forget his name. I don't even care about the guy. It was a popular artist who was a total D-bag who ended up telling my wife some crap about he wouldn't move or walk around the table. And me and Nino got on the guy's case about that too. So from there, me and Nino really became good friends. He came to my house. I'm going to his house. He came to Florida, so I live in Florida now. He stayed at my house, and we went to conventions out there. I went to Chicago and went at his house, and we had pizza together. We've done all kinds of stuff, and I've published his comic book now. We're great friends, and Nino's a stand-up guy. He's multi-talented. There's no one like Nino. There's no one like Nino. I always tell there's no one like Nino.
We love him. I've interviewed him so many times, and we love him on here. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a top guy. You got a message here. Did you see it?
Yeah, ask Jake about hamburgers, and that's the story right there about Ralph bringing back the hamburgers from the Wendy's. And it was funny because, like I said, he brought me the hamburgers for me and my wife at the time. And other people were like, oh, we want food. And he's like, no, and like Nino says, I hate bullies. They aren't cool. Neither does Jake. And that's true. Yeah. And artist Mike Grail. That's it. Mike Grail. See, I forget his name, Nino. I don't even think about the guy, man. Because once I fight with them, they die to me in here. I'm like, I don't like them.
The trouble is with bullies, right? The trouble is with bullies, I've had it because I've been in the press and everything, done TV. Yeah. And the trouble is, bullies are bullies. And at the end of the day, right, they are horrible. They are horrible people, and what I do now, if anybody comes on here bullying anybody, right, they won't come on here again. And I'll tell you what, they'd be gone. We don't have it on here.
Yeah, and that's great of you, Steve. Because like Nino said, he hates bullies. I hate bullies. That's just one of those things. I've always been a protector of people. I always, value everybody. Everybody's important. I always tell them we all have a value. And when someone belittles somebody, that's rude and ignorant. That's how I've dealt with that. Bullies. Because again, I come from Philadelphia, and the racism in that city was terrible growing up as a kid. I've seen people murder Latinos. I've seen people murder blacks because they weren't white people, and that was something growing up that actually helped me, channel all those emotions that I had as a kid into my artwork. And it actually, if you ever read a classic book, as comic book, that reflects that as well too. That how I felt about the world and how we should treat each other. And if you're a bully, I'm coming after you. And Nino will tell you that. And me, I have a thing. I always call Nino my Chicago muscle. And Nino calls me, I don't know what Nino called me. He just called me Big Jake.
What did you say there, Jake? Yeah. You're the moon man.
Yeah, and Jake's the man.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, can you imagine it? 6 foot. A 6 foot bloke. Come into your house. You know what I would do? I would try to get under the bed very quick. You know what I mean? You can't get me, mate. Then all of a sudden you just pick up the bed and you got it. But, at the end of the day, why did you get, can I just come back before I finish?
Sure.
Like your size about, tall. Did you ever get kind of like teased at school or bullied at school for it?
Yeah. So again, living in Philadelphia, I always call people that's a fight town. If you ever watched the movie Rocky Balboa, everybody's fighting everybody in that city. So kids would see me and kids were like, man, you're nothing but, you're nothing but a big punk. You're nothing but a sissy or this or that. So I had to fight, and, I had a friend of mine who was kind of tall too at the time, and he was a softy. Me, on the other hand, he was like, man, I'm scared. I'm scared of getting hurt. I'm like, man, who cares about getting hurt? Because they're going to hurt you anyway. So I used to just go and jump heads in first and fight with kids. And sometimes I would fight with 6, 7 kids at one time. Sometimes I got stomped to the ground, but it didn't stop me. I would get back up, dust myself off, walk home with my beat up clothes and be like, I might have lost the battle, but I didn't lose the war. I always used to tell myself.
And that is about life, isn't it? Because I've done this now for a year, and I started it because for people who had mental illness, who was depressed, people who were at home and everything, on their own. I've just done it for that, And the thing is, in life, right, we all go through certain problems. Yeah. And if we ever get down, we need to get back up again and fight life because, life is worth fighting for, really, because, we got plenty of friends around us. We got life going. And it's all about getting up and fighting and moving forward.
Yes. Amen, man. Amen. I agree with that. And that's so true, Steve. Life is precious, and I always tell people life is precious and we need to, try our best, if we can to look at the beauty of life. There's great people, there's amazing people, there's amazing talent out there. There's so much out there. And then even in ourselves, we all have something beautiful to offer someone else too.
Yeah, well done, Jake. And I'll tell you what I would like to do, because I haven't got time. I wish I had the time. I could speak to you all night because you're so interested. I want to talk about how to design comic and everything, comics and stuff. So what I want you to do, if I could have you back sometime.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and talk about that side of things and also about there's other things that I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
I really appreciate that. But in the meantime, I'd just like to say thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Steve, for having me.
And it's been brilliant. I've just got a couple of questions. There are people here that's going to ask you some questions now. Rob from the UK wants to know if I want to write a comic about myself, would I be able to do it?
Yes, you can, Rob. If you want to make a comic about yourself, just write out the script, draw it up. When I'm talking about draw it up, just write the script, page up to page, what wants to happen on the panels, and then do it. I mean, because there's comic books about all kinds of things. There's comic books about, people and their sexual experiences. There's comic books about people doing drugs. I mean, anything could be made into a comic book. And I tell you, Rob, I champion you. go do it, man. You might have a $1 million hit on your hand there. Some of the most popular comic books are about people's own personal lives.
Okay. And Louise wants to know, what is the most comic book that's got you where you are today?
It was the comic book that got me to where I am today. You know, my own comic book, or was it like someone
Well,
else's comic book?
well, anything.
Well, you know, what got me into comic books where I'm at today was actually, like I said, my dad bringing that stack of
Yeah,
comics. And inside that one comic that talked to me the most, believe it or not, was one of the most violent comic books printed at the time, was The Punisher, #1, Circle of Fire, or Circle of Fire. And it was had Mike Zeke did the artwork. It was Stephen Grant wrote the script, and I fell in love with it. He had the Punisher going up against Jigsaw. It was really violent. There was a lot of shooting, but it resonated with me because it felt like, you know, here was this guy standing up against evil, you know, standing up against bullies, and he was stopping them, and he was stopping them for good. So that made me addicted to the medium immediately, that story. And I, you know, from there, the next issue I read was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which every kid at that time loved and still love. And then Batman's popular. So that really got me fired up and wanted to make comics.
yeah. And we'll talk about that, about Batman and, Turtles and everything, another time. What else we got? Sheila wants to know. Um, she wants to know, what did you think about the old comics like Beano, Dandy, etc.?
So, you know, old comics I love too. You know, I think old comics are what made this industry what it is today. You know, I love the great classic illustrators. You know, they are the ones that laid the groundwork for it. Without those comic books, there wouldn't be a Jake Estrada. There wouldn't be Nino Mezzarino's Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. Those guys did the hard work, like Jack Kirby. You know, today's Jack Kirby's birthday, by the way. And Jack Kirby was the main architect of the Marvel Universe. And without Jack Kirby, you know, there would be no Spider-Man. There would be no, you know, Fantastic Four. There would be no any of those classic heroes that are popular today.
Yeah. And where we go? Rachel wants to know, how long does it take you to do a comic?
So, Rachel, it depends on, you know, how charged up I am. You know, really, a typical comic book, me doing all the work, would take about anywhere from 23 days to about 40 days from, you know, writing out the script. Sometimes I don't even write the script out. Sometimes I just draw the pages, but I have the script in here then. So drawing out all the pages and then lettering it. And if you have to add color to it, then you have to scan the pages in, put it into the computer and color in Photoshop, and then put in the cover. So yeah, anywhere between 23 to 40 days for a single comic book, if that's all you're doing straight through.
Okay, and someone says, if I want to get a comic done, how much would it cost?
Now to make like to hire me, is that what they meant?
Yeah, yeah.
So me, it would roughly cost about anywhere between the range of $2,000 to $3,000. You know, if I was to concentrate on their book, because you know you got to talk about the page rate, and then with that you also got to talk. We got to look at printing the book, and then so yeah, it could cost. It can add up. Now we can offer something cheaper if you got if you're willing to partner with me. There's a lot of different things that we can do. As it's all basically how I look at it. I charge right now. I charge about 150 to 200 per page, which is like 11 by 17 sheet of paper about this big. And then we draw that and we do that. And, you know, that's putting in about, you know, anywhere between 8 to 10 hours a page.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. Steve. Can you ask Jake for me if I wanted to kind of like have a comic? I only want one. It's just a memorable for my parents, especially my dad. My dad's now 100.
Oh, wow.
I always wanted to make a comic. How much will he charge? I do not know. But Jake, can you answer that? Or
Like so he wants a comic book about his dad.
Yeah.
The comic book about his dad. It was a special project like that, and depending on how many pages he wanted it could be a few $100 to a little under 1,000. Anywhere between that. I would have to talk to him and see his needs, his wants, his needs, and and see where we can go, and then we'll meet in the middle somewhere.
Right. Okay. And the last question. Sorry about this. Got all these.
No, it's all right, man.
What did you think of the What do you think of Top Cat and Popeye series on comic style?
I love that art style. I love Popeye. I can sit there and I can watch that. I can read them comics and I can also watch the cartoons. I love that art style. That art style is classic. It's original. There's nothing like it. They were pioneers in their time, and those series are, they speak to a whole generation of people.
Brilliant. That's it, guys, tonight, because I need to go to bed. It's getting late here. But Jake, thank you very much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Really good. Really good. Thank you. So that was Jake Estrada. Thank you very much. And that is brilliant. And yes, we will get Tom. Yes, we will get him back. Do not worry. Do not worry. If he wants to come back.
Well, I'm going to come back.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we did. So we will get him back. And I think my wife has already contacted him and left a message for him already. So that's how quick we do things here. So thank you very much to Nino. Thank you to everybody who was listening. And thank you to everybody who was listening on the radio. We had around about 4,000 in the UK listening. That is brilliant. And once again, Jake, brilliant. Thank you. And,
thank you, Steve.
And have a good time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Rest up.